Welcome to the Music Reel. I'm your host, Nicola Burton. I have with me today Mark from the Pushworth group and our very special guest speaker, Christie Dawkins from Vocal Effects. Now, we like to deal with Christie because she's got a master in vocal pedagogy and she's a gigging performer. So she understands all of the challenges that anyone who's speaking over the microphone or singing over the microphone has on a regular basis. Now, with part of the Music Reel, we've decided that we want to support artists in this time of lockdown before you go back to gigs to find ways to help you to expand, upgrade, do whatever you need to do, I guess, so that when your show is ready to go, when lockdown's finally finished, you've actually had the time to rebuild, recover, and reimagine, your craft in a new way. So, Christie, thank you for taking the time to talk to us today. It's always lovely to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, look, today we thought we'd have a chat about mental health and its effect on vocals. Now, I know when I was out singing, if I was a little bit stressed, I would lose my voice in the first night, even in the first set, because everything was just like this. So I thought because we're going out into this market of uncertainty, it might be great to hear some tips from Christie today and have a little chat about what different strategies we perhaps could try and employ when we're actually going out singing again for the first time in conjunction with how we're feeling, how we're thinking. Over to you, Christie.
Well, that's a very multifaceted question in itself there, Nikki, because we can talk about how the voice carries so much tension when we're stressed. We can talk about ways to relieve that tension, and exercises you could do to make sure that your voice is working at 100% when you go back to gigs. So I might address them in that order. Right. So at this time, of course, we're all very stressed. We've still got a lot of us will have financial issues, and I think that there is so much uncertainty about what our gigging schedule is going to look like, when do we return back to gigs, all the rest of it. So in this time, it's really, really beneficial for everyone watching this to take the time to focus on your voice. All right, it's very inexpensive. I'll hopefully give you a lot of tips now that you can try and incorporate. Of course, if you want further tuition, that is available, but I think that incorporating a couple of these techniques will help you be able to develop some vocal strength before you go back to gigs, and also give you a couple of tips to try and cope with a really, really tense tightness when we return. Okay. So when we're anxious, the first thing that we tend to do is carry a whole lot of tightness in our throat, as we all know. Okay, so the best ways to relieve that to start with is to make sure that we spend some time setting ourselves up pre-gig with some breathing exercises, making sure that you're fully warmed up. So doing some, I actually find Blondie's Glass of Hearts is my favorite warm-up of all, and I do it every time I'm on the way to a gig, on a lip trill. And it goes really, really high all the way down low, and it's a really good exercise to try and warm up our voice. We spent some time last session talking about accent method breathing, and being able to incorporate the lip trill using accent method breathing really warms up the voice to its fullest. So if your voice is warmed up for pre-rehearsal, in this time we've got lots of time to rehearse, and on your way to a gig as well, you'll find that once you get there, you will have one less thing to worry about, if that makes sense. You won't be thinking, oh my goodness, I haven't sung a single note for this entire period. It's now, the end of the year, I'm starting to gig again, and oh my goodness, I used to sing this song and now I can't even achieve the top notes. So let's try and everyone avoid getting to that point where we bomb on a gig because we're not actually exercising our instrument in this time. So my recommendation is for everyone who uses their voice on a gig, whether it's for speaking or singing, I would recommend at least 10 minutes of practice a day. Obviously, the more you practice, the better you become. But if we're at least spending 10 minutes, 2 minutes doing our accent method breathing to try and really make sure that our brain understands the notion of this different sort of breathing than what we do when we're talking. So again, I can add notes to the bottom of the link when you post this, so that you guys can have my handouts to teach yourself gradually how to use accent method breathing. I do accent method breathing, then incorporate your lip trill or your tongue trill, which we've talked about, and then find a song that you love that you know is really rangy, so it goes really, really high, really, really low, and takes you to many, many notes in between, so that you have an opportunity to go between M1 and M2. So we've got 4 different registrations. M0 is creak tone. M1 is what we've often referred to as chest voice. It's our lower sound, and that sound is produced because we have muscles that sit in the throat that keep them nice, the vocal folds nice, short and thick. Sorry, they sit in our vocal folds. And then M2 is a much lighter style of singing we've come to know as falsetto, but falsetto is not totally accurate to define it, or head voice, and it's because there's another pair of muscles that stretch the vocal folds to make them long and thin. So those are the 3 registrations, and then M3 for anyone who's brave enough is whistle tone. Mariah Carey Christmas time. So we need to keep those muscles, those 2 pairs of muscles that we've talked about, the thyroarytenoids that sit in the vocal folds, the cricothyroids that sit above the vocal folds, exercised as much as possible. So if we can make sure that we're choosing a song on a lip trill or a tongue trill that takes us all the way through our M1 and M2 range, we'll build up a whole lot of strength. So think of it essentially as weightlifting for your vocal folds. If you spend ages talking, loads of time singing in your comfort zone, you're always choosing songs with a lower repertoire to avoid you heading up into those high notes, you will have really strong thyroarytenoids. You'll be used to having your vocal folds short and thick, but when it comes to singing high, your voice will be really weak. And that's when a lot of singers go, oh, I'm just not a high singer. I can't sing high. That's rubbish. You can sing high. Your cricothyroids are just lazy. and vice versa. So if we can try and do a whole, I think we discussed sirening last week. We did, yeah. So we need to exercise those top notes as well, and vice versa. There are a lot of girls these days who say, oh, I can't sing low, but I can sing really high. That's because they always sing in M2 and they refuse to come down to M1.
Okay.
That makes sense. So it's what you call a cricothyroid dominant singer. So they sing with long thin vocal folds, and when they head down, it only goes so far until the vocal folds go, nah, can't really do this. They lose all vocal strength and they can't sing low. But the reason why they can't sing low is because they're not transitioning. So it's the goal of any of my students. I try to get them to make sure that they can transition really smoothly from low to high. So if we start on a creak tone, to just incorporate M0 in there as well, we can go, and that was actually M0, 1, 2, 3.
Wow.
M1 hit all the way up and down. And that way the vocal folds are getting full massage all the way through. Blood's coming to all of the necessary muscles to get your voice warming up. And then you're exercising those muscles accordingly. So I think a lot of people think warm-ups need to happen if you've got the piano and you're going, you're doing a 5-note scale, and you're going up, via semitones and that sort of thing. But it's not, yes, that's really, really important for building oral skills and vocal dexterity and all the rest. It can be valuable. But there is also value in finding your favorite song and just lip trilling all the way through that to build up that strength.
So that's exercise and massage.
Exercise and massage. And stimulating those muscles so that they will work to their full ability.
Sorry to jump in there, Christie. I was just sort of picking up on it. It sort of sounds like the same concept as going to the gym. You're not going to go to the gym and just work out your top half and your bottom half. You've got to sort of do the whole kit.
That's exactly right. I often tell my male students that when they don't exercise their upper register, it's like the security guard who forgets leg day.
Yeah, right.
Makes sense.
Fantastic.
Wow. So
Yes.
for people who are MCs, comedians, or DJs like Mr. Colvin here, what tips do you have for them? Because they're speaking all the time, and how often do you lose your voice after yelling over the crowd? So,
Good question too, because it's something I've never really honestly taken into consideration, because you don't really think of, well, I don't really think of my voice as an instrument because I'm talking. But at the same time, when you're in a club, you've got 110, 115 dB, you're probably pushing your voice a little more than you should. So techniques would definitely come in handy.
Absolutely. The other thing that's a real problem area for your industry and bands as well. I mean, we all get idiots coming and talking to us mid-song. But sorry, I shouldn't use
Part of the fun.
idiots. It is part of the fun. We all know how that feels. But Mark, you've got people that come and request songs and ask you if you've got that. So you have to actually project your voice over those really high dBs with no microphone. And that's a really big thing as well that you'll experience, that we would probably experience as musicians. They tend to just move to the side of where they're performing. The background music is really loud, and then they'll talk to people during the time. They have to project their voice over that. When they go back on stage, their voice is so much more tight. So I've actually had a number of students, professional artists, who have come to me for lessons, who have had a great deal of vocal pathology that hasn't really been as a result of poor singing technique, other than no one really knows how to use accent method breathing. It's a new thing we're trying to incorporate. I say no one lightly. There are loads of people, but it's not common practice. And we're trying to educate to try and get people to realize, hey, there's actually something awesome you could be doing that makes your job so much easier. But yes, shouting over loud music, very, very counterproductive to vocal hygiene. And honestly, there is no way around that. Well, actually, I say there's no way around that. There is. To try and make our sound. We've got like an inbuilt microphone. We use a technique called Twang. All right, and Twang, some people mistaken for nasality. It's not nasality. It's a really, really bright upper tone. So if we talk with a lot of Twang right now, I've got a neutral larynx, and I'm talking with the amount of Twang that I have on my normal speaking voice. But if I'm going to elevate that, the best way I find to teach my students is to think American and become really, really annoying. So right now I've got lots more twang on my voice, and you can hear that I sound a little bit younger. My larynx is also slightly elevated, which gives me that really, really annoying sound. So by doing that, you can actually project your voice over loud music, but still you're going to find you're going to be pushing your voice, because you will use a whole lot of throat muscle. So when I said there's nothing you can do about it, I really mean you're always going to find that's going to be a big challenge. So musicians, get away from the live music, go outside, don't smoke, please, and and try to actually reset. So speak quietly, do a few siren exercises to warm down your voice so that you're ready to sing. So that if you've been singing a Katy Perry repertoire, or a whole lot of belting in your upper range, and you've been using a high larynx and everything's really, really tight, we need to be able to reset. So the best way for singers to reset between sets is a little bit of a siren release. So you go to your very, very top notes, like you're whimpering like a puppy dog. We're going to go, and then go.
Oh, wow.
Excellent.
That's so good.
So yeah, and that's and we do that a few times. Sometimes if I'm singing a song like Respect, where I find that you're not going to get the energy out unless you're really belting it and having a lot of fun. When it comes to the instrumental, I'll turn my back, or I'll sort of dance around with the drummer, and I'll be doing sirens off the microphone to try and reset my voice, so that when I come into the next really big part, my voice is ready and it's not tense from all of that belting.
So that is great. I think, guys,
Yeah.
you've got some great information today. And just, sorry, Mark, I guess maybe you could even maybe put a system in place for your gigs. So have a request list perhaps on every table. Just say, guys, I can't probably talk to you while I'm playing or in my breaks, but please, give me a request and just pass it up here, anything you want, or you can even tag me on Facebook, send me a tweet, whatever, so that if you can sort of say it in every set, you're setting it up that I can't necessarily talk to you. But, please engage, use social media, use technology more to address the things that cost you your voice, because there's nothing worse than, what song was that? In the break, and we've all done that. And then you're like, I've just lost my voice taking a request.
Yes.
Wouldn't
it be great to have a personal app? If we all had, like Mark, if you had your own app, people who love your show could download your app and they could see your entire song list. That would save a lot of time.
That'd be amazing. And look, song list, I always generally say to people, it's much easier because obviously a collection of millions of bloody songs, much easier if you know what you're after. But at the same time, I think moving forward, obviously, post COVID-19 and everything that's going on, things like that might actually make a massive difference, because that contact, that 1.5 meter contact thing is going to obviously have to be in play for an amount of time. So
absolutely,
bloody good idea there, Christie.
Yes, it was actually, to be honest, it was my dad's idea. He's had that for some time. But I think the concept is, when I'm singing, if people could have like an idea of my repertoire, then they could ask. But let's be honest, most of the bands are going to stick to a set list. And play that. So they might say, oh, could we have that? That's in the set list anyway. So that's always been my issue with that. But yeah, even a pen and paper for a situation when people are asking.
Exactly how I used to work it. So I've got about 5 or 6 old books from everywhere from 2004 through to 2014, I think, of just requests. Nice. So that was the easiest way for me to not forget over a 6 or 7 hour set. So
well,
definitely,
guys, this is great. It's and anyone out there who develops apps, there's an opportunity for you right there.
Absolutely.
Yes. So talk to Christie, because you can work it out together. Christie, that was really wonderful information. We love working with you. I think that's just such great information for anyone who's watching this, thinking, how am I going to get back into gigging again? So guys, watch this video over and over and over again. If you have questions, I'll put all of Christie's contact details in this post. Make sure you contact her. Make sure you connect with her. She is a wealth of information. And when you're out gigging, it doesn't matter whether you're a solo, duo, trio, band, you can't sing, that's kind of half the show. So the most important part of the show is being able to sing. So Christie, thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you, Nikki.
And we look forward to talking to you.
Can I just say something quickly? Sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to say, I understand that there are a lot of musos out there who are doing it tough. I have a number of musos that weren't able to get their tax stuff done. They weren't able to claim government support. And I know it's been really, really hard. I've seen a lot of things for sale, like motorbikes and all sorts, rooms for rent as a result. And I just want to really reach out to everyone who's out there and say, if you are a Pushworth musician who feel that you are struggling with an aspect of your voice, I am more than happy for you guys to just email me, ask me simple questions within reason. I'm not going to send you an essay every time you send me a question, and I might take a few days to get back to you. But if you would like really, really quick tips, I'm happy to give you 1 or 2 pointers. If you want several, come and see me, but and pay me. But honestly, I understand at the moment. I think we would love to be able to represent Pushworth as well as we can by producing really good acts when we go out. And even if you guys did do amazing acts beforehand, you will be out of practice. If we don't keep up our practice, your muscles will be out of practice. They will get lazy. You will not be able to sing, that high F like you used to if you don't exercise. So keep up your exercise. Make sure your breath is flowing properly, especially in your high notes. use your abdominal muscles for support rather than your throat. And do check in with me if you've got any problems, or if you've got any vocal pathology going on, like you have a nasty crackle that comes through in your upper register, or you sometimes find you can't sing your low notes and other days you can. Girls, that time of the month will impact you enormously. Feel free to come in and check in with me, and I'll get back to you for sure.
What an offer. That's fantastic. So guys, that is an incredible offer. So make sure you connect with Christie. She is the best in this field. She's the only person that we'll work with for a reason. So Christie, wonderful, incredibly generous girl. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks, Nikki. Thank you. You too.